Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Aaron Collins, and this is another rendition of me addressing worldly issues in a godly way. Hope everyone's doing well, hope everyone's in their right mind, and I hope everyone is safe. So without further ado, let's get into the commentary. It's going to be kind of lengthy, not too long, but kind of lengthy. So I'm sure some of you know by now that South African pop singer Tyla has been under fire for some comments she made, as well as her perceived arrogance and attitude of how she's responded to things that she should have addressed. Let me explain. So about a year ago, she did an interview on The Breakfast Club. Charlemagne the God was conducting the interview, and certain questions he was told not to ask, like the questions regarding her relationship with Kai Cenat, her injury, and I guess the most charged question he asked, once again he was told to not ask it, was the question of her ethnicity. You could see Tyla refers to herself as colored. Now, in defense of that statement, if you understand something about South African history, the term colored is actually a racial category in that country. It was actually implemented during the apartheid era when they were talking about separation of the races. The four major races in South Africa were black, which are people of African descent, people who are directly from the continent, and it's also the majority. There's white, which are descended from the original colonizers of white and being British and Dutch descent. Majority of them are Dutch because one of their languages is known as Afrikaans, which the Dutch descended colonizers are known as Afrikaners. They were formerly known as Boers. And there's also the English-speaking whites who are of British descent. And we also have the Asians, whose ancestry comes from the Indian subcontinent. And last and certainly not least would be the colored, which is people of mixed descent, mixed race, which there could be a mixture of any of the other races I mentioned. But see, the thing where it gets tricky is that being that is what Tyla is, she is of colored descent. Here in the United States, the term colored has a much darker meaning. Colored is it's reminiscent of a time here in the United States where, as black people, we were subjugated to some of the racist laws that they had during that time, or Jim Crow, you name it. And colored was one of the names they gave us. Now, as a group of people, we've gone through so many different name changes. Colored, African American, Afro American, and now we refer to ourselves as FBAs and ADOS. You get what I'm saying. We've come through so many different name changes. But the term colored is particularly, it just strikes a nerve with a lot of us, and it's rough with a lot of feathers when she referred to herself as colored. Now that part right there, though, like I said before, I can kind of understand what she meant. However, and plus, not to mention, the word is even spelled differently. Like we spell it here, C-O-L-O-R-E-D. They spell it C-O-L-O-U-R-E-D. But nevertheless, what should have happened is that Tyla, being as young as she is, she should have probably consulted from her handlers, the people who are on her team, who were on her record label, on how to conduct herself here, considering that the majority of her audience is black people, black Americans. We make up probably maybe, I would say 90% of her audience. Her song Water was pretty much made popular because of us. It's a great song. I mean, I heard the song Water. It's a great song. But from watching other videos, I've heard people saying that when told about how to respond, Tyla was, and this is alleged, they said that she was given attitudes of arrogance and basically dismissive type of behavior when told about how she should conduct herself and how she should deal with us, her biggest audience. I mean, I would say, yeah, she's at fault, but at the same time, by her being young and new in the industry, she should have consulted with her handler. So I would probably say that the fault will probably fall more on her handlers and record label owners than anything, because they're the ones that are taking care of her career. And considering that we make up her main audience, if we stop supporting her music, she could probably lose her career. I'm not saying that's a definite. Get what I'm saying though. But this is where, like I was saying, as African, of FBAs, we should also, I advise us to get some education as far as South African history is concerned. South Africa is a country that was embroidered in racial any kind of racial divisiveness for at least 6 decades, because apartheid which means literally apartness in Afrikaans, was embroidered in all kinds of protests and sideways looks from the rest of the world. And guess who led the charge as far as these protests? FBAs. We led that charge. We protested against the racism practices there. And then after apartheid was abolished in the 90s, I say maybe about 94, they had what was known as the Truth and Reconciliation Committee meetings, which was spearheaded by then Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And those who, this was a series of meetings that was implemented that says that those who are operating under apartheid, if they confess to their wrongdoings under that regime, that they could, be granted asylum and anonymity. I'm not sure how that worked, but whatever. But anyway, back to Tyla, because this is about her. Tyla comes from a generation to where she's considered post-apartheid, and her audience is mainly made up of Black Americans. Now, Tyla, first of all, I don't even know how the video resurfaced, but this comes at a time in this country where we as Black people are in the middle of a delineation movement. Delineation meaning that we're basically dealing with us and us only, and this being on the heels of with the ICE movement and the ICE raids, where the Latino community has come to us to stand with them in the midst of that, and we refuse to do it. And now with delineation, we've gotten even more specific with our dealings as far as dealing with each other, where we won't even deal with the rest of the diaspora because of some of them have actually had racist attitudes towards us as well. But when it hits the fan with them, then they want us to come to their rescue and beckoning call also. What does this have to do with Tyla? I'll tell you. Tyla was said to have had some bad energy and a negative attitude when told about how she should deal with us and how she should use certain terminology. Her team should have been more on board with it, because now that I gained some clarity from watching other videos and see why people's feathers are ruffled over her, it's like, okay, I get it now. Instead of being on the defensive and being arrogant, maybe Tyla should humble herself and just listen to what we have to say and see how that certain terminology, certain terms, such as that word, have a certain meaning here. Now, I get it, where she's from, that's how she identifies herself. I get that. And pretty much anyone that's of mixed race, fine. But here in the United States, even though she may have a racially ambiguous look, she's still here in the States is considered Black. Because in the United States of America, there's this rule that says 1 drop of Black blood makes you Black. Anyway, I don't want to give a history lesson. I don't want to give none of that. I'm just talking, putting my 2 cents in on how I feel about Tyla's situation. Personally, I like Tyla. I mean, I've met her in person. She seems to be a nice person, a nice young lady, but she's young, and I'm really hoping that she does keep her career. I would love to see her grow from this. I would love to see her make more albums and more hit songs. But in the meantime, she should really think about what's going on here. Because, like I said before, I don't want to see her career fizzle out. I mean, I think she's a well-rounded individual. At least she has the potential to be. She gets the right people in her corner, the right people in her ear, the right people to groom her. I think she should be okay. But as far as her biggest audience over here in the United States, that is one thing you don't want to do, is cross that line and do wrong by us. I'm just saying. Anyway, everyone, let me know what you think. Do you think I'm saying something wrong? Please get in the comments, let me know. Like I said, I'm not coming down on her, but I am understanding what everyone else is talking about. And I just want to just put that out there. And I say this in love, that, you know, get somewhere, sit down, and just listen. Maybe should be a focus group with Tyla involved, and so she could see how certain things and certain terms can fall on us. Maybe she should get a 101 crash course in Black American history, our history here in the United States, and how certain words affect us. Anyway, these are just ideas I'm putting out there. Hopefully someone could take heed to it and say that's not a bad idea. But anyway, y'all, once again, you know, let me know what you think. Get in the comments. And also support the channel too, y'all, at paypal.me/TheRealAlanCollins, as well as patreon.com/TheRealAlanCollins, and Cash App $TheRealAlanCollins. Ooh boy, that was a lot to say. But yeah. So if Tyla should happen to see this video, just want to be known, I don't hate you. There's no ill will toward you. I just want you to grow. And I want you to think about how your actions could affect others. All right. Anyway, y'all, you know what it is. That God loves you. I love you. Let's do life. See you in the next video.